Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynic Alex, and this might be the best possible time to start playing Marvel Future Fight for the first time, or if you haven't been playing for quite a long time, to come back to the game. And we'll talk about the situations in which you may want to restart your account depending on how far you got and the kind of characters you have. But this new Marvel 80-year anniversary celebration check-in event, that's a mouthful, is delightful. It's got something for everyone. And of course, with the majority of these 8-week events, it is focused around new players heavily, but it also has quite a bit for veterans to take care of besides the elusive CCF. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we get into the actual rewards and the characters, etc. I want to say that seeing Liefeld's Captain America with the goofy chest, seeing the old school Black Panther and Thor, kind of makes me want cel-shaded uniforms for these characters sometime in the future that either preserve their existing skill sets or possibly make them even stronger. I don't know if that's just me, but I think that would be very cool. And maybe in like a year or year and a half, we could depart from the MCU looks and go back to the comic book roots for some of these characters, because as cool as Thor looks, as cool as Black Panther looks, as cool as Captain America looks, I also sort of long for the days when they go back to, even this doesn't really look like the comic book version, the way that the ones in the 8-week check-in do. But let's get back to the 8-week check-in briefly. So the first thing is, that's not the right button. The first thing is the 8-week check-in is already live. And of course, with Marvel Future Fight, they do something that I don't know if other mobile games do, but MCOC's been copying Marvel Future Fight lately. They should definitely copy this one. If you take a look right here, there is 91 days for the event to end. So even though the event only lasts, 56 days, you have an additional basically almost 40 days. You have 34 or 35 days on top of that, a month plus, to fill in any of the gaps. So even if you can't log in for 56 days straight, which honestly shouldn't be that difficult, but even if it is for some reason, you lose Wi-Fi, you go to the cottage, you lose your phone, you get hacked, whatever, you'll still be able to collect everything. So that's the first thing that I gotta remind, or gotta say, that is still great. The next thing is based around the characters. So the characters that we're getting are very unusual. We've never gotten, I believe to the best of my knowledge, we've never gotten these characters as 6-star versions for check-ins. We've got Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, we've got Titania, we've got Iron Hammer, Phil Coulson, Mantis, and Shuri. And the cool thing is that we've got 2 support characters in both Shuri and Shuri and Coulson. You could also call Mantis a support character because she gives a crit damage buff at tier 2. You can call Iron Hammer and Titania amazing leaderships because they absolutely are some of the best leaderships in the game. And then Kamala Khan is pretty much the only one who doesn't fall into the category of very good / very useful, because even though Coulson is not very good as a standalone character and he's quite easy to farm, he's very good as a support character. So that's the first thing that I want to point out is, while these characters are quite unusual to see, on top of that, they're all extremely valuable. Usually we just kind of get marquee characters like Captain America or Iron Man, characters that you can easily farm up, characters that you get, bios for all the time. So while it's nice to get those additional biometrics if you need them, or if you're someone like me, you get 256 spare biometrics to kind of use on someone's uniform or use for native tier 2 or a level 70 potential up. It's really great. It's especially good for new players because, take my free-to-play account, for example. I used a 6-star selector on Titania, I used a tier 2 or 6-star selector on Iron Hammer, and I also used a tier 2 selector on Shuri. So 3 of the 6 characters I personally chose as some of my foundation characters for a new free-to-play account just a few months ago, and this hasn't changed. Those characters have not gotten worse. They're as good as and as useful as they've ever been. So Netmarble being able to pinpoint that and being able to offer that to new players is actually huge. And sure, a 6-star selector is not as good as a tier 2 selector, especially since the 6-star selector specifically gives you that character, but when they're giving you characters you would select anyways, that's actually really great. Now you have to wait a little bit of time to get those characters, yada yada yada, but yeah, besides and with the exception of Kamala Khan, all of these characters are very good and useful. Now, I do encourage Netmarble, if they want to be even better about this, to actually rework Kamala Khan. Just change around some of her skills, give her a really quick little refresh, maybe bump up her base stats, you know, give her like a 1.5 times multiplier on her physical attack, give her a 1.5 times multiplier on her HP, just whatever, call it a Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel rework. And she'll honestly be good enough as is. She's not that bad of a character. She just needs kind of the 2019 stat and skill treatment. So just multiplying her damage a little bit here and there, or multiplying the number of hits on each of her skills by like 2 or 3, so that she's not doing one hit with each skill and doing like, you know, garbage damage, and multiplying her base stats so she's not, you know, in the low 1500s for things like physical attack, would honestly make her a very good character because she's easy to use. She self-heals, she's got iframe, she's got self-buffs, and you can choose to either go with the combat or speed variant, so you have flexibility. But yeah, for everybody else, Mantis, Titania, Shuri, Coulson, and Iron Hammer, these are just really good characters. You want to take them all to tier 2. Probably the only one that you don't need to rush to tier 2 to get value out of is Titania. Titania and Mantis are going to not hit very hard at tier 1, but they're still going to be useful in different ways. Shuri definitely needs to be tier 2 for the passive, same with Coulson, but Shuri is a, you know, a useful character with immunity and self buffs even at tier 1, so I'm quite happy with that, and I think that it's a great time for people to come back to the game. You get a 6-star rank up ticket pretty much right away in the first week, and then for the veterans, not only is everyone getting 1200 crystals, but you're getting 160 Essence of Dimension, which is right over here. You get 80 twice, and you also get 160 Titan component packs. The only thing, literally the only thing missing from these rewards overall, because everything else is packed in as well, I guess you could have that legendary card be mythic, but CCF. The good thing is we do have an event on right now, and it's probably not going to be the one that gives you CCF, but these tokens that we're getting right now for the upcoming update, which we know is going to be centered around Galactus, Silver Surfer, possibly Wave, Namor, etc. We'll be able to cash these tokens in for presumably some of the characters, or maybe a character that gets reworked or gets a uniform that's existing. I can't promise that Wave or Silver Surfer or Namor is going to be farmable because I don't know, but that's usually how it goes. But just remember that after that, maybe the week that the update comes or the week after the update comes, we get a second token event like we did for Spider-Man, like we did for X-Men, blah, 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 recently over the past 3 or 4 updates, and you can cash those tokens in for, you know, you can, they're cycle between rank up tickets and CCF and tier 3 materials and uniform upgrade kits, or they cycle between CCF, tier 3 materials, uniform upgrade kits, and uniform upgrade tickets. So there's always going to be that opportunity to get CCF. I don't really think there is anything they could do to make these rewards better. These rewards are geared towards new players. For those of you wondering or still complaining or whatever, it's fine to complain, but for those of you that want another explanation, the reason why these rewards are heavily geared towards new players is because, for one, there isn't a huge gap that's created by giving the whole player base these items. If you give the whole player base tons of CCF, even 200 is actually a lot, and you don't make them work for it in any way, you will create more tier 3 characters. Creating more tier 3 characters, well, it seems good for you and it seems good for him and them and the other person because they get more tier 3 characters, makes it harder for newer players to enter the game because they see, you know, even accounts that haven't been playing for that long already being able to get tier 3 characters, and it creates this huge gap. Oh man, I have these 1-star characters and I got to get them to tier 1 max, then tier 2 max, then tier 3 max. I'm never going to get there. So there's much less risk involved from the overall state of the game and the way that the kind of noob community and the new player community views the older players when you give away things like biometric selectors, gold, energy, clear tickets, you know, this kind of stuff. It's very risk-free. On top of that, a lot of this stuff helps new players sort of catapult their gameplay so that they can catch up to us and they can remain characters, or they can remain players in the game long term. And that's basically what Netmarble is focused on, I would say, for the majority of the year. At least 8 months out of the year, they release updates, or they release some sort of content, some sort of login event, some sort of, you know, check-in or community event or whatever that is focused around new players, brand new players, to suck them into the game, or players who just started playing to keep them rolling so that they don't get stuck behind those roadblocks. And you can consider those roadblocks if you've watched any of my free-to-play videos. I know some of you guys are going to be crying tears for Whale Hunter 69, but consider the roadblocks that he hit. Not enough gold, not enough XP chips to get his characters up to level 60, and being frustrated having to grind the same stages out of story missions over and over and over again, having to play them manually because I don't have autoplay plus, and so on and so forth. These types of issues, in a small way, not completely, but in a small way, can be remedied by login and check-in events like this. So I'm pretty happy about that. I do hope, of course, for this next update and for the ones that follow, that Netmarble will do their part during the update cycle and in the update itself to address veteran player concerns around character reworks and, more importantly, game modes. We know GBR is going to, well, we assume GBR is going to be getting some sort of revamp, some sort of upgrade, so that's a really great step in the right direction. Hopefully, I'll be repeating this before the end of 2019, that after the GBR rework upgrade thing, Netmarble takes another step and does another revamp or another new game mode to sort of solidify things. It's fine, I think, for like January to July or whatever to be all new player focused. But then, August to December, let's focus a little bit more on the veterans. Let's focus more on upgrade events and token exchanges that can give us CCF and give us veteran materials, and then game mode and reworks. Originally today, I wanted to sit down on my computer and make a video where I looked back at a video that I made in January. And in the January video, I said, I think it was January or it was early February, it was 13 or 15 characters that need reworks in 2019, and I think I put Hulk on the cover, in the thumbnail, so on and so forth. I want to go back and check out that video. I'm encouraging you to go back and check it out now for the ad revenue. I'm kidding, but I am going to check it out, and I'm going to make a video about it soon because I want to see how many of those characters are still crap and how many of them have gotten reworks. As excited as I am, and I don't want to take any of the shine or any of the hype away from Namor and Silver Surfer and Galactus and Wave, these huge names, whether they're old classics or new sort of super hyped, the new wave of characters. There's a lot of existing characters in Marvel Future Fight who have a long history in the comics, and they suck. Ultron is a big one. Hyperion kind of sucks. The list goes on. Red Skull. You can just scroll through this. Green Goblin. And you can pick out characters. Kingpin. Most of them are villains, to be honest with you, but Daredevil. Characters that have, decades of history, whether it's in comics, movies, TVs, or all of them, and they're just complete trash. So yeah, I do still think of those characters, and I do sort of get reminded of them when I see check-in events like this, because sometimes we do get check-in events for really bad characters like Kamala Khan, and I'm thinking, what is Netmarble on? They should at least rework Kamala Khan, just a really small rework. It can't take that long to, make this a more sensible choice. But they've got 5 out of 6 sensible choices, so I think whatever that is, like 88% or 84%, is pretty damn good. So let me know what you guys think of the check-in event. Let me know what you think of the upcoming update. Hopefully you guys have been collecting all of your tokens each and every day. I believe everyone should have 160 tokens by the end of today's cycle. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. Hit me up on Twitter, Discord, etc. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.